Life is an amazing podcast, and it is presented and hosted by myself, Caro, and my sweet dog Sparky. Give it up for him. I hope you're ready. Enjoy. So, welcome everyone to another episode of Go For Your Life. And I'm here with Michele as part of the Yoga Veteran Series. And Michele is the founder of Fierce Grace. The Fierce Grace. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to you too. It's lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
I said welcome to you. I'm not even welcoming you, but
well, you know, it's
lovely
good to welcome each other.
It's our first time meeting properly.
Yeah, so nice. Yeah, because rather recently, actually, I was introduced to you when you were part of the and Base Festival, which was at the time a fundraiser for Yoga Stops Traffic. And it was funny because I wasn't even gonna really do your class, and then Rachel was like, you have to do her class, and I was just about to have my lunch, and I was like, so I'm not eating, I'm doing this class, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was so, I was really, and I think even the next day I already signed up to be in your class again.
I know. I saw you the next day and I was like, hooray, because I'd seen you online practicing that day. I was like, oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, it was so nice. It was so nice. And then I got a little attached to you. So I was like always on the roster, when is she teaching? And then I was like, Carol, come on, you're a yoga teacher. You can expand, So I'm currently actually doing, I think, twice a week, the fixed classes, just 1 hour with either Claire or George. I really like him as well.
Yeah.
So I also, and I think, I've just tried some other classes, and I think all teachers are wonderful. So even though I'm still a little attached to you,
I don't mind that.
Widen my
I'm
horizon.
Attached to you too. I love it when you're there.
I did widen my horizon, but so I have a lot of questions for you. So, and also I just wanted, the listeners to have a bit of an introduction to you. So I have been checking you out. And from the website and from reading about you, I learned that you kind of got into, you had like in the 90s, the early 90s, in 1990, you got a knee injury from your martial art work in LA at the time, right? Mm-hmm. You were living in LA. And then when you moved in 94, you moved to the UK again. And then you kind of, is that also when your true yoga journey started then, or?
Well, I think it started in LA really because I'd heard, I think most people know I started with Bikram yoga.
Yeah.
I lived in LA. I was an avid martial artist and I didn't have any intention of taking up yoga. Although I do remember when I was it's funny, this has just popped into my head. When I was about 14, somebody had mentioned yoga, or 15. And I remember having one of those experiences where you get a sort of bolt of lightning thing going, yoga, not now, but my future. And I remember it happening in a split second. And then I just put it away for like however many, 25 years. But I hadn't intended to, but I'd heard, because I was trying to take my black belt, both knees were bad. One of them was really bad. I was wearing all kinds of, braces that I'd had made for me by, people. And I just heard about this guy that was really good at curing knees. So I thought, okay, well, it's either surgery or this. So I think it started then when I realized I'd gone in, it was my fittest I'd ever been in my life, with martial arts training every single day for 9 years, you're really strong. And I went in there thinking, how hard can this be? And how yoga just immediately shows you every single thing that's wrong with your flat feet and your weak inner legs. I had flat feet, weak inner legs, tight hips, really tight back. I was strong, but quite tight. Yeah. So, and there were people in the front row in their 60s doing things that, I just couldn't, and their bodies are amazing and they were doing things I never could have dreamed of doing. So I realized that there was misalignments and, to cut a long story short, it was horrendous for the knee, my knees were agony in the classes, but I thought, well, what have I got to lose? I'll do what I'm told. I'll really surrender to this. He said, come every single day and give up your martial arts if you want to fix it. So I went every day. I didn't give up the martial arts. I pretended that I had put it on pause. And it did wonders. So when I moved back to London in 94, I didn't intend to teach either. I just thought, look, people, because I knew so many martial arts friends who were, I mean, you know, my best friend had double anterior cruciate ligament replacement from martial arts. And I just thought there's so many people out there that could improve so much simply by realigning the body correctly. So I just accidentally started a class because it was just me wanting to practice. My husband wanted to practice, and some of our friends that had been to LA. So we started in my living room. And that's where the 2 cups of hot water and the hot bath and turn on the heat started. We had no heat. And my living room became crowded. Then I rented a room in a sports center once a week. That became crowded, then 3 times a week. And I was just practicing, but then I had to turn around and people were bringing their friends and go, no, not like that, like that. And I started sort of teaching before I was really trained to teach, but I had listened to, listened to Bikram for 4.5 years, 6 days a week. And I just said what he said without some of the more strange things that he would say. And then I went and did a training after that and opened a studio. So it was kind of accidental.
And so when you started, at the very beginning, you were teaching Bikram?
Yes.
Okay. And for how long were you teaching Bikram?
Well, all in all, I was teaching Bikram from 94 to, when I launched Fierce Grace, really, which is...
Was that 2008?
That's 19 years.
Yeah.
It's a very long time.
Wow.
And within that time, I knew I didn't want to teach it forever, but I had 4 successful Bikram studios. But the 9 years of that, I would say, I was thinking, right, what is it that I really want to do? And so I did Ashtanga Vinyasa training and I loved it. I loved my teacher and the people. It was just wonderful. So that was on the cards, But I think luckily for me, the ability to have had 4 studios, I had 3 at that time, watch people do the same sequence over and over and over again, and then see how the different teachers taught it and which types of people went to the hardcore killer, don't sit down, don't drink, so the kind of people that went to that were already the alpha people who didn't really need it. And the teachers that taught it in a softer way would have the people that didn't want any challenge. So it was really an eye-opening experience in that sense to go, well, if you've got a kind of alpha practice, you're going to get alpha people, but do they really need it? Do those people really need the alpha practice? And then if you're teaching a more yin practice, you're going to get people that need it. There are smart people that know what they need, but there's a lot of people that they don't really want challenge, and they're very flexible and they feel good because they can do everything in the flexible class. And they don't want to have their asses kicked. So I could see that I just started I taught 250,000 people during that time at least. Yeah. So I was seeing what they were doing after class. I knew that sequence, it's a great entry level, but it doesn't last you past, the initial stage, in my opinion. People will disagree with me. I did it for 20 years. Yeah. Myself. But it misses out a lot of parts of the body. And I'm not criticizing it because you can't do everything in one class. It's not possible to do everything in one class. So that's why and how I started to gather all the information, seeing people were doing pigeon after it. I'm like, yeah, of course you are. Because we don't do that stretch. And they were, doing 10 push-ups beforehand. I'm like, yeah, I used to do that because, it was a very difficult, I think that's, having taught for 19 years, I don't think I really became, in my own head, worthy of the title yoga teacher until I had done the sort of 8 or 9 years of really deep research and soul searching. Could I teach this sequence to people for the rest of my life? No. Could I teach this one? No. Because I think originally the reason I started teaching was because I honestly had it happen to myself. I didn't need knee surgery. This is 25 years later that I was told I needed knee surgery. And my knees are better than they were, when I was that age, having put them through quite a lot.
Yeah.
So that's my brief to myself was, can you create a class that is really going to open yoga up to a wider audience and that is safe for your gran, or your, maybe not your gran, I've got a class especially for grannies, but you know, the people that you meet at dinner parties that go, oh no, yoga's not for me. The husband of you know, your student that goes, no, I'm not flexible.
Yeah.
Could I create a class that was safe for everyone and challenging for everyone? And I realized after about 3 years of trying every single combination of postures that I could, you know, I tried the Vinyasa Salute. No, it's great for most people, but it's not really okay for, in my opinion, for the beginner, because it's just too fast for them to get to understand the transitions without hurting their backs. And I mean, I love it, and it really was a big contender. Maybe I'll just do, you know, it's a beautiful thing. Can I just do that? But I wanted the freedom to do what I wanted. I didn't really want to teach someone else's sequence. I'd had 20 years of teaching someone else's sequence, and with that comes limitations that I was sick of. I didn't want them anymore. So I realized there isn't one sequence. That's why great teachers each week, they mix it up, because there isn't one. So then Fierce Grace was going to be 3 classes. It was going to be, you know, kind of linear alpha one, a really difficult one, and the one that you like, the deep core one, which is the softer, more stretch class. But very quickly I saw that's not enough either. So the system grew. It's 12 classes now, and I feel pretty much done. There's over 250 poses in there. There's different kinds of movements. There's soft, there's stretch, there's alpha, there's, you know, hardcore, there's advances. I feel like I've created the language within which I can do what I want to do.
Exactly.
Sorry, that was a very long answer.
No, I mean, I'm hanging with you on every word, because I also felt like when I first, so of course I was like, before I was going to do your class, like, what is Fierce Grace? I never heard of it. And then I went to the website and I was like, oh wow, you know, like and also the website just looks so awesome, and I'm obsessed with tiger. So I was like, oh my God, I already love the logo. So, but also the feeling of what you're also saying is like having Fierce and Fierce Grace and Grace, like, because I do think that many times, myself included, like I would always go for the hardcore class and then not really, kind of nearly neglecting my feminine side, or, you know, the grace. Like I usually just skip it and I don't enjoy it. But I think what you're doing is really encouraging people, like, do something that's actually out of your comfort zone. And also, if you are a person that just wants all that strong stuff, also once a week, take another class that actually really deepens the practice or gets you to relax even, you know, or
exactly.
And I think that's what I love about the system that you've created, because it is, you know, you can just really become you become so all-rounded in your practice, which I think many times, especially when you say Ashtangis are just Ashtanga, you know, and that's fine. But I think sometimes, you know, they're missing out on the joy of actually, you know, doing something different for that day, or, you know, like, or getting out of the sequence in your head as well, like just feeling more free. That's what I think is really.
No, it's wise words. I was exactly the same. I mean, you couldn't, you know, the first time I did a yin class, you know, and you know, yin is difficult because you are pushed up against yourself, but there's no way you would have got me to have done it. No way. So, I mean, we have a class called In, but it's my joke on, because I mean, I'm not a massive fan of yin for myself, because I just feel, in a way, I mean, God, people are going to hate me for saying this, but it became popular right as the Bikram was becoming less popular, because people were, I mean, not everyone, obviously, but because it depends how you practice. Like in England, we never really taught Bikram in the really, really hardcore way. We tried to, because there is a soft side to it, you know, and you can be soft while you're being alpha. You can breathe and be open and be, you know, in the moment. Of course you can.